Hi, everybody!
Oh, hey. Welcome to Cinema Spectacular's live Q&A with myself, Laurel, and Alexandra. Alexandra is the festival coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I am the founder-director. And
All
we
about
are
this one.
here for your questions about what it's like running an independent film festival. Like how we pick our films, why do we do what we do? I don't know.
The questions that people sent in advance. Or that you can send in now.
Yeah, you can still send us questions. Now, if you hashtag it on Twitter or wherever you are, with hashtag AskTheFest, and we will see it.
You can also Snapchat me.
Yeah.
Laurel Caulfield. I'm snapping all the time.
All the time. Cool. So,
should we start with some of our pre-sent in questions?
Yeah. We can start with some of our
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? We have some very general questions that we got that we'll start off with. They're kind of a good place to start.
Here, how about I will play the part of the question answer.
Okay.
Question asker. I'm not the answer to anything.
Okay. Let's do it.
First, actually.
Yeah.
We should really thank our sponsors.
Oh, we really should.
Because we have some amazing sponsors who not only make the festival possible with some monetary donations, also put together some really awesome prizes for our raffle.
You'll find out about them later this week. They're really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So, for thanking sponsors, quick spiel. We'd like to thank Gearhouse Camera Rentals. Why am I blanking on everyone right now? Line 21 Media Services, Front Row Insurance, Western One, Line 21 Media Services. Did I say that one already? I think I did.
Yeah, but they deserve to.
They do deserve to. They're very nice. They're all very nice. Salatai, great restaurant.
So good. You should go. I try and go every other week.
It's good. Great stuff. What else we got?
Ernest Ice Cream.
Ernest Ice Cream. Fjallraven.
Which brewery?
Red Truck beer. Good beer. Good stuff. And our social media sponsor, who you'll see at the event, See It Together Media. And our community partners. There's a lot more people. I should have written this down. Open Mic Movie Night, which is taking place at the Rio Theater this Thursday. It'll be lots of fun. Van Chan, which happens every couple months. It just happened on Sunday. It'll be happening again in July. I hear it's going to be outside, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Outdoor movies.
And thank you to VIF, who is our giant, fantastic venue, and everyone there who are great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so now I'm going to get back to playing the part of the question asker.
Yeah.
Alright, so how many films are submitted to Cinema Spectacular every year?
It's been very different every year, because every year has been very different for us, because this is our third year. First year I did it
all by herself.
All by myself, because I felt like it. No films were technically submitted. I asked people who I knew were working on projects, and we kind of just came together with a festival. Second year, which was last year, it was our first time using the platform Film Freeway. And are you also saying?
Yeah, okay.
It was our first time using Film Freeway, and a big learning curve for us was kind of learning how not to charge nothing for submissions, because that means you get thousands of submissions, which is what we got.
Yeah, and I want to throw in something about free submission film festivals.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I really like that there are people out there who are willing to just accept things for totally free, but it makes
people don't read the rules.
Yeah, because it's free, people don't read the rules, so it's an untenable amount of work for a small festival like us, where there's two people looking at the films.
I think out of 1,100 submissions, there were maybe 200 that fit within our guidelines.
Yeah.
So the rest were from all over the world, which is super cool, but we couldn't
We're focusing on Canadian
have
content
the time
here.
to watch all of
Yeah.
them. So we learned from that, and this year we kept our submission costs low, and that helped a whole lot. So it was just $5, and I lost my train of thought.
So it's just $5, and how many submissions did we get?
I want to say like 280 this year,
Yeah.
maybe.
And we didn't have to disqualify that many, which was nice.
Yeah.
So it was really low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
But it was a big enough barrier that we didn't have thousands of people.
Yeah, which is nice. Was that the original questions? How many submissions did we get?
Yeah, how many submissions do we get?
Yeah. And
then, so I guess kind of building on that, how do we choose which films?
it's a mysterious process. We do have
Like
some,
most festivals?
like most festivals, it's like you throw some like eye of newt into a pot and it like boils up and like tells you what films to pick.
If you didn't know.
Yeah. We do have some like general rules, like it is a festival focusing on Canadian content, so we do want like at least the filmmakers themselves to be Canadian. And we ask that the budget be under, I can't remember what I put it as.
I think it's $15,000 or $20,000.
$20,000.
Yeah, I mean it's a significant budget for a short, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of room.
And we don't tend to accept kind of more
Genre.
explicit, kind of genre-y kind of stuff. Other than that, it's pretty fair game. We don't accept student shorts either, and the reason for that is because we did get a lot of student shorts submitted this year. And the reason for that is our festival is mostly focused on that intertidal zone. I can borrow my own word from the Discord article. Between film school or just starting out and actually like sustaining yourself as a filmmaker with filmmaking work. So because there's lots of festivals for students specifically, and there's lots of support for students, which is great, but when you get out, it's terrible.
There is a gap between when you first get out of school and when you are making works that are supported either by grants or crowdfunding for people who have a longer history of work and are able to call upon their fans and that kind of thing. There is a really big gap in that space, and that's what we're trying to fill, is be a place for people to show their work, promote their really low budget indie features and that kind of thing. Help people bridge the gap to make the transition from student filmmaker into full-fledged independent filmmaker.
And be making things all the time. We just want to like encourage people to keep making things. Because it's fun to make films like by yourself or with other people or like working on set, like it's all...
But sharing them in community afterwards is really, I think, what ends up being the missing part of the equation. We're lucky in Vancouver that there are a lot of short film groups and screenings around town, so it's really exciting, and we hope that ours is a little bit different. We don't always go for the most technically, as in like cinematographically, perfect films, as long as they have something to say and a heart and do something that makes you think. So that's something you'll notice in our festival this year.
Yeah. I had another point and I forgot it, so that's okay.
And so I think one thing, interestingly, our theme this year seems to be silence, just in like some of the titles of the films and some moments in the films. There's a lot of contemplation this year, so it's a little bit different than last year's festival, which I think is a fun thing.
All the films are kind of picked together, so we kind of shortlist what we like, and then from that we kind of chisel away at finding like a program. Which is, so like we don't pick kind of one film at a time and like mash them all together. We do like for our audiences to have a screening that works together, because it is kind of tough sitting through a shorts program that
is disjointed,
is kind of all over the place. It's fun sometimes, but sometimes it's a little tough to sit through. But
so we think we've made a great program for you this year that really flows from the first act to the second act.
There's something in there for everybody, I swear.
Alright, so another question that was sent in to us was, what motivated you to start this film festival. And since Laurel was the one who founded this event, let's talk about let's first talk about why you started it, and then, because I think that answer will spawn a second question, which is like, why did you continue with it?
Okay, that's good. I started this festival in 2014 because I had a short that I had finished outside of film school, and I kind of wanted a place to show it. And I knew lots of other people in town that were working on things, and I'm like, I don't know what originally planted the idea in my mind, but I'm like, why don't I just screen it with a bunch of other things? And then it became, I'm like, oh, what should I call it? And like, how should I brand it? Not that I was thinking about branding when I was like...
But it does need a name, and it does need a picture to go with it.
Yeah, so then it kind of started, I made up my like camera people, which you can see on the posters every year. And I came up with a name, and I was looking at venues, like where could we show, and like one of my first kind of recently in my brain trips, it's not a drug thing, when I was 16 or 17, I came to Vancouver for a Nerd Alert Stargate convention with my mom, and I saw an independent film by one of the Stargate actors in the Van City Theater. It was my first time there, and it was, like, at the time, I thought it was the best theater in the world.
It's a pretty great theater.
It's a fantastic theater.
Is beautiful.
I love it so much. Just, like, the seats are good, there's, like, red velvet curtains, there's so much space.
Has a lovely atrium with the bar and concession, and it's just, it's very much ideal, and we're lucky to have it as a venue.
It's fantastic. Everyone there is fantastic, and every time I get to go in there, it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want. So, and that's kind of why I picked the Van City, why I started it. Just kind of also, like, sticking it to the man. I just got out of school, and I'm like, I need to, like, do something big, and so I did this.
And it was big!
And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. And I think the fact that people showed up at all kind of spurred me to consider doing it again.
Yeah.
And then I did it again. And Alexandra came on board. We had Cinema Spectacular 2 at the Van City again. When we opened up submissions Canada-wide, we had submissions from 7 provinces. I think we had a program of 16 or 17 films, which is similar to this year. This year we have 6 provinces and 18 films. And we just keep doing it.
So the next question on here is, what's the most challenging aspect of putting on Cinema Spectacular?
I'm gonna say getting the word out to people. Because we have a marketing budget of $0.
It's probably like $100.
Well, like, most of it comes out of pocket, and a lot of it is kind of our time and any time that people are willing to give us. So a big help this year has been all the people helping us, like, put up posters and, like, sharing the event, because I keep bothering them about it. But it does, like, make a lot of difference having more than one person talking about, the event, more than just me kind of shouting, come to the event. It's helpful having other people also shout that. It's more of a, I don't know.
Yeah, instead of just like yelling into the ether that is social media, you can have people having a conversation about it.
You can have more of a yelling conversation. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think it's probably a similar thing. There are a lot of short film events, and they're in Vancouver, which is where we're located. And so that's great because there's a really active community here. But because of that, I think it's also hard to get people to commit to events and to specific things. Especially, we have a once-a-year event.
Yeah.
Which I think is special in its own way, and it allows us to get films from all across Canada. But it's harder to get a repeat audience.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to stop because we should go to some of our Twitter questions.
Oh, there's one there's one below.
Where's? Oops, sorry.
Below. Farther down. Maybe. No, farther down.
I don't know what that.
Here.
I can't. Maybe look on. Okay, you drive.
Yeah, we had some questions sent to us. So there we go. We had a question from See Together Media, who are friends of ours. They'll be at our event, taking you a picture, asking your opinions. They ask #AskTheFest. Can't words. With online video, getting butts and seats is especially hard. What has been your biggest marketing challenge to date? We talked about this a little bit. Marketing is a challenge in general. I think.
Yeah, go.
I think with our event, like, we are, like, our audience is people who definitely want to go to a theater and experience something.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, sitting and watching, like, all the shorts that they could, like, in the next year or two find themselves online. But what we want to do with Cinema Spectacular, and what we've kind of been successful with so far in small steps, is making it like a networking event. We have a Q&A. We have like our filmmaker. We had a few filmmakers in attendance last year, and we have more filmmakers in attendance this year. We have raffle prizes. Like, it's just fun to experience.
Yeah.
Like, film in a room full of other people.
And to facilitate community, I think, is really what we're trying to do, or to continue to do. All right. So Daniel Jeffrey asked us a question on Twitter. He says, besides the criteria listed in Cinema Spectacular's rules/terms, what characteristics do you look for with film submissions? What pops?
For submissions, like, since we're a little more, like, loosey-goosey with our kind of guidelines, and we don't really have, like, a theme typically, unless, like, one kind of assembles itself.
One emerges, but we don't go in with a theme.
Yeah, it's like what I tend to look for in films, now that I've seen, like, hundreds of them in the past couple years, is I look at least for, like, an inkling of whether it's, like, inspiration or kind of that kind of sparkle of, like, something genuine or something real. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, because you definitely feel that, like, sitting down to watch a film, how send us another question.
Yeah, continue.
Thanks, Daniel. I lost my train of thought again. I was talking about...
I think we're looking for films that have, a spark of authenticity, something that feels genuine and connected to reality. Yeah. One thing that we don't like, I guess, to put it in contrast, is films that read false, or read that they, the people making them, they're kind of based on their experience watching other films, as opposed to their own life experience, or something that's personal.
Something I kind of found a trend in this year was, like, producing drama for drama's sake, as opposed to doing something, like, genuine and interesting. But
I think that happens with a lot of new filmmakers, because they don't have confidence in their own ideas and how they feel, so they look to films that they like and try and emulate that, which we're all going to do to some degree, but I think really getting something key, like something that you can connect with on a deeper level. Yeah.
Not just something that, like, audiences can connect with, because you can definitely, like, feel going into any kind of film, like, what kind of personal relationship the filmmaker has with their material. And if their material is something that they figure, like, oh, other people can sympathize with this, so I'm going to make a film about it, it's not going to come off mega genuine.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think that goes to one, like, filmmaking rule that I really love, which is, and writing rule, the whole idea of write what you know. Like, the more specific that you are, the more broad your audience is. Because making something that's trying to appeal to everyone is a tough sell. Whereas if you make something that tells one very specific person's story in a very specific way, people will come at that with their own experience, but it doesn't feel bland.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got another question on Twitter, and it is, what are your aims with the festival for the future? Where does Cinema Spec years? How might the festival change, grow?
We have plans.
Yeah. This is something we've been talking about a little bit this last year, just kind of what, if things go well this year, what do we want to do? I'll answer kind of my thoughts, and then I'll give Laurel some space to do that. I think in Vancouver there are a lot of ongoing short film events. And Laurel and I both have our own creative practices and other work that we do, so I don't think that making this a 6 times a year event is really what would work for us in the best way possible, since we are open up to all of Canada as opposed to just Lower Mainland filmmakers or Vancouver filmmakers. One thing I would really like to do is to start taking the show on the road a little bit. I think if we could have a cinema spectacular in Vancouver and then show that program in Victoria and Kamloops and Calgary, that would be really cool. And then kind of look to expand out further, and maybe have 6 or 8 screenings in medium markets across the country. I feel like that would be a really great place to be in like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And that would be a lot of fun. I also think at that point we could program like a core program that would be everywhere, and then maybe the second half of the festival would be a regionally specific program where we'd show local Vancouver work, or like local Calgary work, local Regina work, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that or things you wanted to add.
Yeah. The idea of like making this into like a traveling show is like really exciting to me, because I haven't seen a whole lot of Canada, and since we started making this like a Canada-wide festival, mm-hmm. I've become a lot more interested in like what kind of films come out of different communities. Mm-hmm. I need to not watch myself on this. It's making me nervous.
I'll get it. Keep talking.
Do you want to? Did you share it on the Facebook?
I did.
Okay.
I shared it on my Facebook.
Oh, well, share it on.
Well, okay. Can you do what we're about?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Seriously, just talk. Answer the fucking question.
Okay. God. Yeah, since making this like a Canada-wide festival, it's become important for me to kind of find different communities that make films. And like every community does in some aspect, whether it's like a small community with like that one weird kid that has a video camera, or whether there's like media programs in high schools that kind of get carried on, later, like post high school, or just kind of exploring different places as well. Because like in our festival this year, from our 6 provinces, like we got to see so many different parts of Canada, having like never actually visited there, and I find like that's really awesome.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
And for a different project, I taught filmmaking workshops in rural communities across Canada for a year, mm-hmm. and so I've seen a lot of small places, and I've met people. I've met a lot of young people who were interested in doing creative things, but they didn't know what to do, or they didn't think they could do it because they weren't from like a Vancouver or a Toronto or from the States. And after working with them for a couple weeks and just teaching them some basics of filmmaking, they were like, you know what, I'm actually going to apply to this filmmaking program at a university, or I think I'm going to go to art school. I'm going to do the thing I want to do instead of waiting here. And so hopefully, if this festival can travel, then we maybe it'll help inspire other, young weirdos like we were to go into filmmaking.
I was definitely the weird kid with the video camera.
I wish I was the weird kid with the video camera. I was just a weird kid. Yeah. I'd taken photos. I'd never made a video, I don't think, when I went to film school, which is just insane.
Yeah. I got I don't know how it started. I just wanted to make movies. I wanted to make movies like Steven Spielberg.
Oh, cool.
And then I would make school projects with my parents' tape camera. It wasn't mini DV, but it was before mini DVs, where it was big tapes.
Like High 8 or
maybe High 8. One of those MIG. Wasn't it was one of those. And then I can't remember if I bought one with my allowance or my parents bought it for me. but I got like a little mini DV camera, and then I took it to school like every day. And we made school projects and all these things.
And you actually created at the second year of Cinema Spectacular, there was like a little personal documentary that Laurel made. That is it up online?
It is up online. It's on my Vimeo.
Yeah, check out Laurel Brown's Vimeo. It's a sweet little movie. It's kind of nostalgic for even if you didn't know Laurel in high school. It's a nostalgic little thing.
I had about 100 hours worth of kind of mini DV tape footage, and most of what I'd done with it in like middle school and high school was just like making videos of my friends. But what I also had and never really did anything with was like footage of like hanging out with my grandparents and like going on family vacations. So it was more kind of stripping away like all the goofy kid stuff, and kind of finding something like more meaningful, like having like lived away from home for forever at this point. It was fun to go back, I guess. But yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. So if that gives you any indication, we like to have work with heart in our festival. This year we have 3 short documentaries. Is that true, or just 2?
No, I didn't even count.
We have 2 or 3 short documentaries. No, we have at least 3 short documentaries.
What's the second one? There's
Sydney's.
Oh yeah,
Daniel's.
Yeah, at least 3.
Yeah, we have at least 3 short documentaries. There's 18 films. We're trying to keep them all in our heads.
Yeah, it's getting there. Like everyone last year, like I could name all of them like right now. But this year, it's like I'm getting there. Something else that I really like to see in the festival that got me really excited about running the festival last year and then again this year is like animated films. Because often
they don't get programmed.
They don't get programmed in short programs a lot. Like they're not considered the same thing as a short film, which is really weird to me. Because it uses like animators and filmmakers use a lot of the same language. They just kind of use different tools to get there, but the exhibition format is the same. So like last year I was really stoked when we got Lumberjack submitted by Joel Mackenzie. And it was
which is now online.
Which is now online. Please watch it. Like I still watch it every once in a while, and it's like
we'll tweet it out
after
so
this. Happy. It's just like it's everything. Like stylistically, it's like it hit me right where it matters.
When you watch it, you'll see, and you look at the design and the logo and think for Cinema Spectacular in the past 3 years, you'll see how much Laurel likes it.
And so I definitely have a soft spot for animated films and for stop motion. We have a few stop motion films this year. We have 2 really short ones from a woman in Ontario, Lynn Dana Wilton, who will actually be at the festival. So if you have any questions for her, she will be there. And we have another one called The Girl Bunny's Rocket Ship, which is an experience, and it's part of a series. And I think it's also out of Ontario.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was the first short that I watched when I was programming this year, and I was like, oh, yes, this has to be in the festival.
I keep trying to explain it to people, and it's just like... It's hard to articulate. You just have to explain it.
Girl Bunny's Rocket Ship.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out.
Please.
All right, well, we have been chatting away here for a little while, and I think that's been a good half hour of us gabbing, so unless there's anything else you wanted to add... We should probably let y'all go.
Maybe. Take a break and come back. I don't know how this works.
All right. Well, so our festival is this Sunday, May the 29th, at the Van City Theater. Doors at 3. Come in, get your raffle tickets, grab a drink, meet some people. Then 3:30, get your butts in the seats for opening remarks, and then immediately following the start of the show. Afterwards, we're going to try and have a little after party that we will shout out about at the event, and that'll be a great place to meet with the new film festivals and the new filmmakers that'll be there this year in a more intimate, less formal setting than our post Q&A.
And our Q&A is being moderated by Brendan Prost, who's a local filmmaker who is giving us has given us a trailer to show at the event for his next feature. Because I'm sorry, Iron Man.
Iron Man is not going to be at the screening this year.
I'm sorry, there's no Tony Stark.
I tried.
I tried.
I tried so hard. This has been like my whole week.
Last year, I kept tweeting at what's his name, Ryan Reynolds, to come to the event because he was filming Deadpool here. It didn't happen.
Because
he was not there.
Sidebar story about Ryan Reynolds in Vancouver. While he was here, I made up a whole soap opera about how his mother wanted them to stay with them while he was filming in Vancouver, because he had his wife Blake Lively and like their beautiful, I assume, baby. If it's ugly, that's probably why we haven't seen it. But I think like Blake Lively just really can't take Ryan's mom. Like it's just like it's too much, and so they stayed in a hotel. And I would tell this story every time we drive past the Deadpool set on the viaduct. I'd be like, man, I wonder what Blake's up to today. Probably just avoiding Mrs. Reynolds. Lame. Anyway, if you want to know more about the soap opera I've invented, corner me at the fest and I will give you the lowdown.
Like the play-by-play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of what happened in my head.
That's what it's all about.
Alright, so thanks so much for watching and hanging out with us and our dysfunctional little Cinema Spectacular family. And hopefully we'll see you all on Sunday.
Tickets are cheaper.
Tickets are cheaper online right now.
Thank you for saying that. Okay, bye, friends.
Bye.